welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am excited today to talk about this topic because I think it's something that took me a very long time to realize. But once I realized it, there's a sense of freedom associated with it. And I am so grateful for my friend who asked the question online and really allowed me to tap into my true answers to a question. So one of my friends on Facebook posted the other day and said, what's your current, said along the line of, what's your current health goal and are you there yet? And I said, I'm not quite there, but I am on the way. And then she then said, so what's your biggest challenge? Um, and are you thriving or are you failing? And I really thought carefully about this question because initially when I read it, I was like, I actually don't like this question. And so then I was like, why don't I like what don't I like about this question? Right? Because number one, I understand from the marketing perspective what she's trying to do. She's a health coach. She's inspired to help people with their weight loss, and also any emotions associated with it. So then I also asked myself, so what's the emotion around it? And when I really dive deep into it, it was like, I don't like the fact that you're either failing or you're thriving. Because what that means is that if you're not thriving, then you're failing. Right. And I think if we want to look at a health journey and weight loss journey, I think this is where a lot of us got it wrong because quite often, I think on the path of either it's weight loss, whether it's getting healthier, it's actually more about continuous improvement and try and error than thriving. I think if we were all thriving, we wouldn't be struggling with our weight, right? But at the same time, I think if we continue to say to ourselves, and this is a lot about language and mindset, if we continue to say to ourselves, I'm struggling, I'm failing, then essentially, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure because you're constantly programming your brain to say that you're failing or you're struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. If you continue to say to yourself, I'm struggling, then you are struggling, basically. And the other thing is for me, it's our body changes as we progress. And really, I don't want to link any change in my body as a failure or as a struggle. And I think the reason so many of us are struggling is because that's what we tell ourselves, right? And that's what the world is telling us. If you're not thriving, then you're struggling. But what if we change the language and say to ourselves, I am on the path to get to my ultimate or my the ultimate healthiest version of me. And who knows, once you get there, it might actually change again. Right? I remember in my 30s, I really want to get six packs. And the goal is to get to 48 kilos and have my six packs. And if I get that, I was going to go on a solo trip to Bali. And so I did. And I remember one of my friends asked me, he's like, so what happens once you get there? I'm like, well, I'll get there and then we'll see, because I don't know, right? Because the truth is, especially for a female to maintain six pack and a certain weight, sometimes it could be difficult because it's a complete lifestyle change. Now, the reason I'm hesitating is because I got there with a different set of knowledge. It's a very different set of knowledge than what I have now. From what I have heard, that, going on carnivore diet or a meat-based, animal-based diet can actually get you there with your optimal body more consistently. And that's why I kind of pause and go, ooh, what if? Right? So see how as our knowledge changes and grows and our understanding changes, our belief system changes. And as our belief system changes, our mind is going to drive our body. And this is what I believe. If we continue to look at our body and go like, I'm fat, I'm too fat, I'm too fat, I'm too fat, you are never going to lose the weight. But if you can look at your body and you can see your optimum state of being, then you will get there quicker and you will maintain it. Right. Whereas back in the days, my mentality was, I only get to live once and I want to get to, I want to get to 48 kilos and I want to get to have a six pack because I may never ever have it again. So I knew, right? I knew I was going to lose my six pack. I was not going to stay in 48 kilos for long because that's how I programmed myself in my mind. So I basically programmed myself a failure if I want to look at it that way. Whereas now, this past 10 months, I've been on carnivore since the 1st of Jan. What I have realized was, yes, there are days where I will still crave non-carnivore food. I still crave my sweet. I still have cravings for carb. But from what I know now, it's actually because I'm not having enough meat. I know it sounds so weird, right? But so, and you guys have to go and research on this. It's fascinating. So our body can actually transform any meat into glucose, which meant that you actually don't need carbohydrate. Because traditionally we thought carbohydrate is the main source of glucose, which is a source of fuel to some of our cells. Right? So there's some of our cells in our body, which includes red cells, requires glucose. Then there's other parts of our body which contains mitochondria. Actually needs fat. It burns fat. It utilizes fat as energy and use that to fuel those cells. So really, and this is just something that I am learning as I step more and more into this diet. A lot of times when we're craving sugar, right, we're craving that fuel. But it's more because we're trained to think about sugar, right, to have sugar cravings because we have too much sugar. But in fact, next time if you have sugar craving, go and have some butter and have some meat. What you find is that craving will actually go away. Same thing with carb, right? What it is actually our body craving glucose. So just need to have more meat, especially red meat. How interesting, right? And for me, I'm slowly adjusting to it. So I don't go cold turkey. It's all or nothing. And what it meant is now I'm almost into my 11th month. Come November, obviously, I'll be stepping into my 11th month. What I'm finding now is the craving gets reduced. I have less and less craving, and I am more like, rarely do I crave carb anymore. There might be 1 or 2 days a month when I'm ovulating, when I'm about to have my period, I would go, oh, actually, I do crave carb. Um, there was one day this month that I literally allowed myself to have carb. But I literally can't have as much as what I used to. And I go intuitively and listen to what my body actually wants and had a little bit of carb. And to be honest, it actually felt good, right? My body is like, actually, that is what I needed. Next time I'll try having more meat and see how it go. But that's like one day out of a month instead of every single day, right? Like sweet, and I don't crave sugar. I don't crave vegetables, unfortunately, or fortunately. Sorry to all of my vegetarian friends. But to me, it's been a journey in the past 10 months. It's been a journey of reconnecting with my body, listening to what my body wants, and allowing myself to slowly adapt to this lifestyle. And that's another thing. I think so often we look at our food choices as diet, which feels really restricting, whereas I prefer to look at them as lifestyle choices at different stages of my life. And so often people ask me, how long are you going to be on carnivore for? I'm like, well, really, I wanted to get to a point where I could literally be on carnivore for 3 months and then see how I go. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that. But does that mean that I'm struggling? No, I'm improving every single day. So then, therefore, no, I'm not struggling. Does it mean I'm thriving? I think through a definition of thriving, maybe not. But it's the same thing as having a success addiction, right? What does thriving really mean to you? What does success really mean to you? For me, this year, this whole health journey has really been about reconnecting with my body and really listen to what I need. We have incorporated so much more than beyond the weight this year as a family. Like, we're incorporating grounding systems into our day to day. I'm wearing blue light blockers at night now as much as I can. We've got red lights at night that we turn on in most of our living areas. We're changing our diet as a family. We're changing our lifestyles. We're getting out there more to get more sunlight. And these are all things that is going to help us getting into optimal state of being. Get into, I keep wanting to say the word primal, but it is primal. It is how our ancestors used to live, and it is about resetting the body. Yes, I still want to. Oh, really, I'm at 63 kilos now. Ideally, I really want to get down to 55, 53. So I got another 10 kilos to lose. But am I going to judge myself based on my weight? No, right? Because that's not loving and that's not being kind to myself. At the same time, am I going to hold myself accountable in terms of sticking to my lifestyle? Yes. But also understand I'm a full-time working mom with many hats and many things that I'm juggling. There are days I'm going to slip up. I'm not going to beat myself up and say that I have failed or that I am struggling, right? Because I don't want to program my brain to think that way. And it's almost like, okay, let's assess, have we done the things that's beneficial to our body today? Yes, no, no. If it's no, okay. How do we desire to do better tomorrow? So many people are like, oh, you have to meditate in the morning. Oh, you have to journal in the morning. I'm like, yes, but currently it actually does not suit my lifestyle, my way of being, my family's time frame, and I'm going to do it when I can. I'm not going to beat myself up when George wakes up at 5 this morning, which meant I couldn't do what I wanted to do even if I get up at 5. I'm not going to beat myself up when I needed more sleep. I'm not going to beat myself up when I feel tired and all I want to do after George goes to bed is to go to bed myself because that's what I need. Right? That is actually honoring my body in my belief. And I think so much our society these days are about the speed, about wanting things now. Sometimes things just takes time. Sometimes things just takes time. And I talked about in the last episode, if anything, this is one of the things that I have learned through mothership, through motherhood, is that sometimes things just takes time. The most important thing is, am I honoring the moment that I am in? And am I being honest with myself? Am I trying my best? Am I being honest with myself? And am I doing the work? Right. So, to give you an example, the other day I said to Scott, I think I want a treat. When you go to the supermarket, can you see what you can get me? He got us some ice cream and I had it. I had it and I loved it. Is it really good for me? No. Does it mean I ruined my diet for that day? Yeah, maybe. But am I going to beat myself up and say, you have failed? No. What I'm going to say to myself and what I did say to myself is, I'm a human. I'm a human being. Right? Yes, I had one ice cream. And tomorrow is another day. Let's start again. Let's look at how we could set ourselves up for success so we're not going to have that. Right? Again, this is another thing that as a working mom, some days I'm not going to have the time to stock up the fridge. Especially if I had a weekend that I'm playing solo parent. Scott works every second weekend. And sometimes during those weekends, I may not be able to go to the supermarket. I may have other things that's preventing me from being organized. Right? So part of that lesson is, okay, how can we be more organized this week? So today, which is Friday, I work from home. And I actually planned to go to the supermarket during my lunch break. And I got our fridge fully stocked. What does that mean? That means I'm less likely to want to order or Uber Eat, or to have anything that's not in the fridge because the fridge is fully stocked of all of my favorite carnivore kind of food, right? And that is really planning for success. But that is also learning from my mistakes. And I think if we can treat ourselves with love, respect, compassion, and understanding, and start with that in terms of our love, our body, I think you will slowly have the same understanding or feelings towards these two words, thriving or struggling. I'm neither thriving nor struggling, but that's okay. I am on this path to be the best version of me. I am on a path, and that is actually the purpose of life. Very zen, very very monk-like, but that's why I truly believe, right? We're not aiming for perfection, but we're aiming for continuous improvement. Which leads me to, I decided to pull a card for today, out of a different deck, because I know I always generally pull out from my Wild Kuan Yin deck. So I thought I would do something different. It is from a bit of a wild deck as well. I love these special decks. So it's the Shamanic Medicine Oracle cards. And I just love this deck because it's actually, they're very honest and blunt. Funny how I always choose cards like that. So the card that I picked out is North, Solitude. North, traditionally, according to the Native Americans, is associated with winter or the element of earth. So it's about retrieving, it's about resting, it's about reflecting. And what this card basically talked about is it's time to distance yourself from other people. It's time to get into the space of solitude and reflect and contemplate and look at what is actually important to you. I put all the other noises aside and look at what's actually important to you. What is the meaning of life? And really just be contemplative. And I think this is, when it comes to our health, when it comes to life's journey, when it comes to asking yourself, am I succeeding? Am I thriving? Am I failing? Am I struggling? We really need to put aside what the societal expectations are, what other people think, what's common belief, and really ask ourselves honestly, what do I believe? What belief system do I choose that is going to allow me to be at my best? And for me, right here, right now, really it's about doing all that I can to bring my body to its natural state and slowly let go of the programmings and beliefs that I have learned over the last 41 years and bring on a new set of beliefs that is suited, that is aligned with this next phase of my life. And it just happens to, I choose a more animal based diet. I choose to ground myself. I choose to expose myself to sunlight. I choose to reduce the EMFs in my house. And I choose to reduce the blue lights that I absorb. I choose to have good quality water, take good supplementations, and I choose to embrace myself in frequency, medicine, and energy. And let's see where it takes us. Let's see where it takes us. And along the way, I may learn new things. I may, consolidate something. I may even abandon something. It's like the old beliefs that I had in my 30s just doesn't serve me anymore. But you know what though, side note, funny thing, intuitively, I always knew the more proteins that I have, the quicker I burn the fat and the quicker I lose weight. So I always knew having more protein is actually going to make me more toned. So interesting how intuition works, right? So I think the purpose of this episode is really to again, like any other episodes, and that's really what the show is about, is to share a different perspective. And I truly believe that my purpose right here, right now, is to present different perspectives, to understand different perspectives and then present different perspectives. Because if we always believe in a certain narrative, then there's no room for improvement, right? It doesn't matter who said this, but if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, that is insanity. If we continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome, then that's a definition of insanity. So if you want a different outcome, if you want your life to be better, if you want to constantly improve and progress and grow, then we've got to seek different, well, not so much seek different solutions, but at least be open to different perspectives. I mean, my perspective that I'm presenting today might change tomorrow, but that is okay too, right? I think it's more about what is going to, again and again, I always say this, what is going to be for your greater good, right? In this moment, at this time. Take what serves you and leave what doesn't serve you. Take what feels right and leave what doesn't feel right. And that's it. And life should be that simple. If we I truly believe we can all tap more into our intuition, into our body, and just listen to our inner wisdom, life gets to be simple. And maybe more of us will be at peace with life and feel more free and, be more of ourselves. I guess that's the purpose of life, right? To become more and more of ourselves. On that note, on that note, um, I think that really is the point of today, is to continually encourage all of us to continually seek the answers from within, to determine or discern what is your belief and what is going to serve you right here and right now, and be open to change, because life is always changing, right? So you might as well get onto the driver's seat and initiate those changes yourself. So, on that note, that's my rant. That's the episode for today. I hope you enjoyed this little discussion on thriving and struggling. I hope this brings you a different perspective. And if you have any feedback, any suggestions, please feel free to write to us. You can contact me in all the different ways, on all the platforms, and all the details are in our show note. Love you all so, so, so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.